We're gonna be working on my FRS again today. This time we're gonna be installing the Verus engineering brake cooling kits, an essential part of any track build if you're wanting to keep those brake temperatures under control and fight off that brake fade and keep them consistent lap after lap. Now the kit basically includes everything you need to get it installed, but there are a few things to note. One, if you don't have fog lights, you're gonna need to get some fog light bezels. Second, you're gonna lose the windshield washer reservoir. Not a huge deal to me, but if you are worried about it, there are some aftermarket tanks that you can install to maintain that function. I've already gone ahead and gone through some of the formalities. So the car is up in the air, bumper is removed, as well as the fender liner. That sort of stuff is really easy and straightforward. The bumper is just some 10mm bolts and retaining clips, and the rest is retaining clips as well. So once we have those removed, we have access to everything we need, and then we need to remove the brake calipers and rotors. To remove the brake caliper and rotor, I just removed the two 17mm bolts on the back that are holding the caliper bracket in place, and I'll remove the whole thing there. And then I also removed the bolt, the 12mm bolt that's holding the line to the strut, so that we get more leeway to move the caliper. And then once the caliper is off, we'll be able to pull the rotor off. Now we need to remove the three 12mm bolts that are holding in the OEM backing plate. Then we can take our new backing plate and install it using the included hardware and spacers. Now we're just gonna loosely install it right now because we're gonna need to take it off, but we need to get a good idea of where we need to protect the wiring for the speed sensor here with the included foam. So again, we're gonna just loosely install this, and then we'll mark off where we need to put the foam, and then we'll take it off. Take a Sharpie right here, mark off where it's being pinched. Now we can take this off. Once you have that wire marked and you remove the backing plate, you're going to take the small piece of included foam and wrap the wire in this, and then reinstall the backing plate and tuck the wire in between the carbon fiber inlet and the knuckle so that it doesn't move around and we don't have to worry about it getting abraded over time. Now we can reinstall the rotor, and then we're going to want to tighten it down with two lug nuts here, and then we're going to check the clearance on the backing plate as we turn the rotor to make sure there isn't any rubbing or anything like that. If you do run into any rubbing at all, you can bend that backing plate a bit to make sure everything is clear. Once you've made sure there are no interference problems, we can get the brake caliper put back on and move on to the next step. Want to torque those two 17mm bolts down to 59 foot-pounds. We're going to remove this plastic cover next. It's just going to be held in with some retaining clips in the wheel well and underneath the car. So just pop those out and we'll be able to slide the cover out. We're gonna move on to the bumper. I've already uninstalled my bezel because I don't have fog lights. Like I said, if you don't have fog lights, you're gonna need to get some fog light bezels. Now, I actually modified the inlet ducts here with some wire mesh to help keep things out. This is up to you if you wanna do this or not, but it's nice to know that there is something to keep things out since I am gonna be driving this to and from the track. I just took some wire mesh, cut it to size, and then used some Gorilla Weld to adhere it to the smaller side of the inlet duct, so it's hidden, but it's still there to help protect against anything coming in. So now we're going to take the mounting brackets here. They actually include both, so if you have the older models that use the 4-prong, they have that, and then they have the 3 prongs as well if you have the newer models. So we're going to take this, slide the inlet ducts into the opening, and you'll see that there's 2 tabs, one on the top and bottom, that kind of help keep it in place. Then we'll slide this into the slots. And since I don't have fog lights, I'm going to use the included hardware to mount this to the bumper. Otherwise, you would just use the OEM hardware. Now it seems kind of loose right now, but once you get the fog light bezel installed, that's gonna kind of hold it in place. And once you get the hoses on there, that's gonna secure it. We're gonna remove the windshield washer reservoir next. So I'm gonna unplug the motor here and then pull this hose out. Now my tank is empty, but if yours is filled, the fluid's gonna start coming out of this, so you need to plug this. And then there are two 10mm bolts that are holding this in, one up here and then one in the back here. We also need to unclip this wiring harness. We're gonna be looking for this hole next in the wheel well. We need to enlarge it using a 3/8 drill bit. And then I also use some touch-up paint to help prevent against any rust. And you're gonna take the included rivet nuts and we're gonna install it into this hole. So just press it all the way in there. Take a 9/16 wrench, and that's gonna hold the tool. And then take a 10mm socket and start cranking down on it until you feel it have a good amount of resistance, and that is how you know that it has been installed and fully seated. Once you feel it tighten, we can back the bolt off. Installed. Once we have those rivet nuts installed, we need to modify the plastic cover on the passenger side that we removed. If we compare it to the driver's side here, this area right here is flat, but on the passenger side, it protrudes out a little further. So what we need to do is take a Dremel or some sort of sharp knife to shave off that area, and that's gonna allow the fender duct to sit flush once we get it installed. We can get those covers back on the car, and then we're going to install the bracket that holds the fender duct into the rivet nut that we just installed. And slide the fender duct in there, and this bracket is going to be at a slight angle. And then we're going to adjust this so that it sits flush. It's going to be pretty close to the pinch weld here. Now I'm going to reinstall my front bumper, and then we can work on getting the hosing routed. All right, so I've got the hoses routed here. The process is pretty straightforward. The black hose is going to go from the inlet duct to the fender duct, and then the orange hose is going to go from the fender duct underneath the coilover or strut, and we're going to zip tie it to the lower control arm, and it's going to go to the backing plate. Now all that's left to do is roughly install the fender liner, and we're going to need to trim out this area so that it doesn't interfere with the fender duct here, and cut a little area out for the bracket here where the stud comes out. That pretty much sums it up, guys. Once you have those fender liners trimmed and reinstalled, get the car on the ground, check for any clearance issues. If you have any issues, you have two different options. One, you can install the steering limiter kit that's included, or you can remove the fender duct and hoses off of the car until you get to the track and install them there. But now you can have some more confidence in your brakes, knowing that they are getting a good amount of cool air supplied to them to help keep temperatures down. If you guys want to pick up this kit for yourself, I will leave a link down in the description. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys next time.